We'll continue with question B. There are two more sections. Those are simpler compared to these. Explain in terms of forces why the athlete reaches a maximum velocity, right? Which means he will not, or the velocity will not increase further. He reaches a maximum constant velocity. So that is missing here, but it is understood that he reaches a maximum constant velocity. So when would that happen? Now, as we know, as the speed increases, the opposing force also will increase. In this case, their resistance and the frictional force will increase. So you can say as speed increases, the drag will also increase. Sorry. So as speed increases, the friction or drag will also increase. So that will be considered as point 1. Now point 2 will be, you have to, since it's in terms of forces, you must write about the forces acting on the object. So the drag is increasing, and as it increases, there will be a particular point when drag will be equal to the forward forces, the forward force, which will be equal to, so what is a forward force? We saw it in the previous case. It will be the component of weight, which is mg sine theta, right? So if you have got the second point, so 2 out of 3 you have secured. So what will be the last point? I've told you before, read through your answers. You must write in points that have got distinct relevant features or relevant points that you have picked up from the particular situation. Now the third one would be, say, the resultant force would be equal to 0, right? So the resultant force is 0, and you can add more information. If it is one more point, you can add acceleration is 0, hence it reaches maximum velocity. All right. I think these questions you have solved it earlier, so there is not much of confusion. Those 3 points, if you write, you will get the full 3 marks. Now third, it is stated that the maximum speed is greater for athletes of greater mass. So now here the mass is greater or increasing, suggests why this is only correct up to a certain mass. So this answer, actually this will this maximum constant velocity is applicable to a particular mass. So if you have a greater mass, what happens? What is the difference there? So you must think about the situation. Greater mass will have greater surface area. Hence, the opposing force, the drag, will be greater for these greater mass. Drag or air resistance would be greater. There is 1 point. Hence, what will happen to the velocity that it will achieve? That will also be greater, because it will take longer for the greater mass, the mass of the person to attain, what should I say, attain when both forces are equal. Because since air resistance is increasing in a greater mass situation, he'll have to travel longer to balance that, right? So drag will be greater, and since the person would have a greater area of cross section, or you can just say greater area.